Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH The Flame Emperor episode number 58 based on novel. So let's start. Are you all here? King Shenling also looked at the people around him with a smile, and then said casually, "You can start anytime." Solomon's strong man said. At this time, Xiao Yan and the other 15 were also in the forefront. Behind them, hundreds of players who were also participating in the point-grabbing competition also stood quietly behind them. Without exception, they all raised their heads slightly and looked at a mighty figure in the sky. Then let's start. King Shenling also said slowly. The selection of sects also began at this moment. A rather handsome man appeared in front of the crowd on the ground and said, "Those who can stand here now have the qualifications to join the sect within the Shenling 3 days. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on your outstanding performance in the point-grabbing competition. Next, you can choose a sect to join it. Currently, the 9 super sects in our Shenling 3 days are Burning Incense Pavilion, Wanhua Pavilion, Ancient Desolate Palace, Purgatory Hall, Solomon, Puppet Palace, Pill Valley, Heartless Palace, Wanjianmen. As for other sects, you can also join it. For example, in addition to these 9 super sects, there are some sects whose strength should not be underestimated. Nightmare Valley and Astrology Valley, Poison Sect, Sword God Sect, Ming Sect, etc. Next. Let's start. After the man finished speaking, he also slowly retreated. As the man retreated, a laser-faced man stood up slowly in the crowd, and his eyes were full of excitement. This man is impressively the 100th place in this point-grabbing competition. Among the people who are currently participating in the selection of sects on the top of the mountain, in addition to the 100 strong points plundering competition, there are hundreds of people who have been allowed to join the sect because of their outstanding performance, so it has also created a large number of people. Dare to ask Senior, "Can I join the Shenling royal family?" The man also slowly stepped forward, and then said respectfully to King Shenling, "What is the strength of the 4-star Dodi in the middle stage?" "Of course, the royal family of Shenling welcomes you." King Shenling also smiled slowly at the man on the ground, and then a ray of light disappeared towards the man, and the man appeared behind King Shenling in the next moment. At this time, the man was also full of excitement. He actually joined the Shenling royal family, and his future money and status were also guaranteed. He immediately followed King Shenling respectfully. When the man followed behind King Shenling, he felt how unfathomable this powerful Dodi peak was. "I didn't expect that the first one was to join the Shenling royal family, which is a good luck." Solomon's strong man also agreed. "Continue." King Shenling also said softly, "Although this 100th is only the strength of the middle stage of the 4-star Dodi, but after all, he can stand out from these tens of thousands of newcomers. I prove that he has a certain strength. For such fresh blood, the major sects are also quite gratified. After all, if any sect wants to last for a long time, the injection of fresh blood is the kingly way. I choose Wanhua Pavilion." A woman also said softly, and then the strong man of Wanhua Pavilion also took her behind him, and returned to his sect together after the selection of the sect. "Hey!" Seeing this, Chang Yu shook his head as well. The Shenling royal family possessed enormous wealth, and resources were naturally a no-brainer. For Dan Ji Yu, it has a huge network of relationships, and it is composed of a group of alchemists. The resources are too powerful. As for the other sects, they also have their own advantages, only they focus on self-cultivation. This is also the reason why their Fenxiang pavilion has the smallest number of disciples every year. After all, who has nothing to eat to cultivate their minds? Whoever joined the sect did not go for its powerful martial arts fighting skills or huge resources. I hope that the Shenling king and Solomon's people don't go too far. Chang Yu also shook his head and looked at the field. "I joined Pill Valley." The person who spoke was a man wearing a pharmacist's clothes. Pill Valley was undoubtedly the best destination for a pharmacist. "I joined the Purgatory Hall. My parents were killed by ghosts. I have nothing to worry about in my life. I only want to kill demons and ghosts, and avenge my revenge," said a man with a fierce look in his eyes. "A good one to kill demons and destroy ghosts." The powerhouses of the Purgatory Hall also burst into laughter. Their status in the Purgatory Hall is quite special, and they never participate in the battle between the sects, but their duty is undoubtedly to walk on the tip of the knife. If you are not careful, you will be buried in a different place. However, the actions of Purgatory Hall have also won praise from countless people in Shenxiang. This kind of sect that is responsible for the world's righteousness is quite rare. I joined the Palace of Heartbreak. When I come back from my studies, I will definitely kill those who are heartless. It was a woman who spoke, and there was only despair in her eyes, and she was obviously hurt by love, so she had no choice but to join the Valley of Heartless Love. Love, hate, love and hatred, child, why bother? The strong men of the Heartless Palace also spoke to comfort them. Once they entered the Palace of Heartless Love, from then on, the world became strangers and cut off lovesickness. I'm not reconciled. The woman also cried in pain. Seeing this, the strong man in the Palace of Heartfelt also waved his hand, and a white ray of light wrapped it away. With the wrapping of the ray of light, the woman's pain also weakened a lot. Child, it's right to join us, go away. The strong man in the Heartless Palace also said lovingly, I know that my talent is mediocre, and I can't surpass others when I cultivate Do Chi in this life. So I joined the puppet mansion, said a man with a doll on his back, who was also staring at the puppet mansion. There is a strong breath in his eyes, which is endless. Ruzi can be taught, come here. The strong man in the puppet mansion also greeted. All I want to learn is supreme swordsmanship. So I want to join Wanjianmen. A man with a heavy ruler also said slowly. The strong man of Wanjianmen also waved it later and brought it under his command. I was adopted by others since I was a child. When I grew up, my stepfather tried to me, so I killed him and ran away. I don't know if I could join Solomon. Cannot help but feel distressed. Come on, we Solomon are all-encompassing. No matter what status you were in the past, you are a family here. Solomon's strong man also said. After speaking, the woman was also relieved, and bowed deeply to the strong Solomon. I haven't been able to cultivate vindictiveness since I was a child, but I don't want to give up. I want to prove that even if I can't cultivate vindictiveness, I can still stand out. I'll join the ancient desolate palace, a burly man also said with enthusiasm. Hee, that's natural. Even if you can't cultivate Do Chi, you can still stand out. Joining us is the best choice. Xiao Yang. I will definitely surpass you. As the burly man left, a coercive voice echoed on the ground. And for some unknown reason, Xiao Yang found that the burly man's voice contained some inexplicable power, as if it was not just talking. This Du Chun seems to have some secrets. The Golden Dragon King also discovered something, and then said slowly, What's the name of the burly boy who joined the ancient desolate palace just now? Xiao Yang also asked the people beside him. It seems to be called Du Chun. Yueru also said softly, Du Chun. Xiao Yang also murmured, for some reason, Xiao Yang always felt that this was a person who was bound to become a master. The people on the ground are also constantly choosing the sect that suits them. Until this time, the number of people on the ground is only 2 digits, but there is no doubt that the people who stay are the best among the elites. Looking at the sky, many sects have a lot of seedlings. Among them, the Shenling royal family and Pill Valley have the largest number. After all, one of the two is the alchemist who surrounds Shen Santian, and the other is the huge pharmacist. Financial resources, the number of people is reasonable. It's just that behind Chang Yu of Fenxiang Pavilion, there are only a few disciples to join. Counting carefully, there are only 5 people. You must know that other sects have at least as many as 2 digits at this time. Hehe, Deputy Pavilion Master Chang Yu, it seems that your Fenxiang Pavilion will not be able to break the number of disciples this year. Solomon's strong man also slowly said to Chang Yu, and after speaking, the people behind him also burst into laughter. Stand up. With the appearance of laughter, some doubts flashed in the eyes of the people behind Chang Yu, obviously thinking about whether to switch to it. Enough. Chang Yu also said angrily. With Chang Yu's anger, Solomon's strong man was not provocative. Xiao Yang's huge soul power on the ground also discovered this scene, and immediately muttered, It seems that this burning incense pavilion is weak, and its relationship with Solomon and the Shenling royal family is not very harmonious. The number on the ground is also rapidly decreasing, but Xiao Yang and the others are not impatient at all. After all, it is only a matter of time. I'll join the Fenxiang Pavilion. It was Luo Guang, a late-stage 4-star Do Emperor who was famous for his amazing defense. Chang Yu was also quite happy when he heard the words. After all, in the battle in the Infernal Corpse Forest, Chang Yu remembered very clearly that Luo Guang's defensive power was extremely amazing. Don't look at Luo Guang's strength in the late stage of the 4-star Do Emperor at this time. The defensive power that even the 5-star Do Emperor displayed could not be cracked in a short period of time. This is indeed a forged material. Okay. Chang Yu also said 3 good things in a row. Obviously, the addition of Luo Guang made his unhappy mood a lot brighter. Haha, although burning incense pavilion is good, it's not suitable for you. I see that your fighting chi attribute is earth, and your defensive power will definitely be astonishing. It is better to join the ancient desolate temple. Solomon's strong man also spoke slowly. You Solomon are interfering too much. Which sect to join is their freedom. Chang Yu also said angrily. Haha, that said, but I'm just telling the truth. Chang Yu, Deputy Pavilion Master, don't get angry, your body is important. Solomon's strong man also snorted coldly, but the targeting of Chang Yu in his eyes did not weaken at all. The junior thanked the senior, but still decided to join the Fenxiang pavilion. The fat man Luo Guang also smiled honestly, and then without hesitation, he went behind Chang Yu. When Luo Guang was in the corpse forest before, he teamed up with the second place. He was in charge of defense, and the woman in second place was in charge of offense. Therefore, the points of the two were also quite rich, ranking second and third. With the addition of Luo Guang, the power of Fenxiang Pavilion has also grown stronger, because Luo Guang's talent is quite powerful, and over time, he will definitely achieve great things. A woman surrounded by snakes in her hands also slowly stepped forward, and then bit her lips slightly, obviously hating Solomon and King Shenling in the sky. Or fear. The moment the woman appeared, the somewhat lazy eyes of King Shenling moved slightly in the sky, and then stared at the woman, his face covered in surprise. I'll join the burning incense pavilion. The woman said lightly. The woman's name is Green Flute. She is a late-stage 4-star Dodi, the one who had been chasing Xiao Yang in the corpse forest before. At the moment when the Green Flute appeared, Xiao Yang also felt a slight movement in the blood in his body. This kind of movement is extremely small. If it weren't for Xiao Yang's huge soul power, he would definitely not have discovered it. With such fluctuations, it looks like a clan. Xiao Yang also frowned, pondering. The power of blood in his body is already the purest blood of the Xiao family. As for the previous Taishu Gulong and other blood powers, it was already expelled when the ancestors of the Heavenly Tomb exchanged blood for him. So if it fluctuates like this, could it be Kaelin? Xiao Yang also shrank his pupils tightly, and then said slightly surprised. Xiao Yang and Kaelin are already married, so it is not surprising that Xiao Yang has a trace of Medusa's blood in his body. As for such fluctuations, it is definitely Medusa. Color scales. Are you here? Xiao Yang's face also sank, and then he looked at the Green Flute. Isn't your burning incense pavilion a one-handed woman? The strong Solomon also continued to ask for trouble. Hehe, that was in the past, can't you accept it now? Furthermore, whether I accept female disciples at Fenxiang Pavilion has nothing to do with you. Chang Yu also fought back viciously. Haha. Solomon's strong man also suffered a dumb loss, and then he didn't speak, but the pupil of King Shenling around him burst into anger. As he said that, he looked at it, and it was the woman named Green Flute on the ground. Okay, come up. Chang Yu also smiled. This Green Flute is a woman with good strength, and being in the top 10 in this point-grabbing competition also shows her strength. Hold on. There was a bit of blood in King Xuanling's pupils, and a faint murderous intent also spread. King Shenling has you an advice. Chang Yu's expression was also solemn, and then a breath was released, resisting King Xuanling's terrifying aura. You belong to the desert Medusa in the eastern part of the mysterious spirit continent, right? What are the intentions of the sect that mixed into our human beings? Say. Do not say. Death. With King Xuanling's terrifying voice appearing, the strength of the terrifying 9-star Do Emperor is also undoubtedly demonstrated. At this time, the strong sects in the sky were also contemplative, but they were still noticed by the Shenling king. Everyone knows that the Shenling royal family has been disturbed by the Medusa snake people in the east of Shenling. This Green Flute has the blood of Medusa, maybe he knows something. It seems that I have to find a time to ask her carefully. But since it's all about burning incense pavilion, it will be much more convenient in the future. Xiao Yang smiled at the Green Flute after he finished speaking. Seeing this, Lu Di also nodded knowingly. In fact, Lu Di already had the answer in his heart before, so he asked Xiao Yang just to make sure. If Xiao Yang really killed their Medusa royal family and swallowed the power of their bloodline, the bloodline fluctuations would definitely not be so calm. Then he also smiled at Xiao Yang. I'll be waiting for you at Burning Incense Pavilion. After speaking, he also flashed, and then went behind Chang Yu. When Chang Yu heard the words, he also smiled at the Green Flute. If this Xiao Yang really joined the Fenxiang Pavilion, then they will definitely have confidence in the next sect competition. Brilliant results in it. Damn snake people. King Shenling raised his eyebrows when Green Flute said those words to Xiao Yang. This Xiao Yang is the champion of this point-grabbing competition. Although King Shenling didn't believe that Xiao Yang had the strength to kill the twin ghost emperors in an injured state, he had to pay attention to it. Looks like it's time to spend some blood. This time, you won't want to be safe at Burning Incense Pavilion. Solomon's strong man also said. Xiao Yang, which sect do you want to join? A joking voice also sounded, apparently from King Shenling. As King Xuanling's voice fell, he also looked at Xiao Yang with great interest. As we all know, the first place in every point plundering competition, no matter which sect joins, the future achievements are not to be underestimated. Therefore, this Xiao Yang's choice will undoubtedly cause all sects to care about it. Sometimes, some sects will win over Xiao Yang at all costs, and offer some quite tempting prices. Hey, don't be too busy agreeing. After all, you are the #1 player in this point-grabbing competition. Why don't we give out the resources of our respective sects and let them choose? Solomon's strong man also said slowly. This. Xiao Yang was about to speak just now, but was confused by this sudden scene. Hey, it's normal, this is your first place treatment. After Mu Feng finished speaking, he also turned to look at Mu Yingying. If Xiao Yang hadn't turned the tide, then the champion would have been Mu Yingying. I'm not interested in these. Mu Yingying also noticed Mu Feng's gaze, and immediately shrugged indifferently. Is that so? Xiao Yang also laughed. Although he had already made plans, Xiao Yang still wanted to see the attractive conditions of these super sects. I'll come first. In Solomon's words, it is known as a strange person who covers the world, so the condition given can be a fighting spirit of quite beautiful quality. Solomon's strong man said. Fighting soul? This Solomon is really willing to pay for it. Chang Yu also secretly said. Everyone here knows the preciousness of the fighting spirit. Every time the hunting of the fighting spirit requires a lot of high-end combat power in the sect. The quality and strength are also getting stronger and stronger. This is also the symbol of a strong 9-star Dodi. Have a fighting spirit. A 9-star Dodi strong with a fighting spirit and a 9-star Dodi strong who thought they did not have all the fighting spirits are like a sky and an underground. Fighting soul? This was the first time Xiao Yang heard of this kind of thing, and he was immediately surprised. The so-called fighting spirit means that if you step into the 9-star Do Emperor powerhouse, you can absorb the fighting spirit after entering the 9th rank. And fighting spirit, in a sense, is something that can greatly enhance one's own strength and combat effectiveness. Fighting with people, summoning the fighting spirit, and adding some strange powers of the fighting spirit with one's own cultivation base, so as to gently deal with the enemy, this is a bit similar to your fire elf possession, but the fighting spirit does not have you are a powerful fire spirit possessed. After all, your fire elf possession is extremely perfect, but the fighting spirit is not so complete, and there will definitely be a lot of power overflowing. In the 7 realms today, there are a total of 108 fighting spirits, with different shapes. Of course, it is not ruled out that some extremely huge fighting spirits have not been discovered. However, the appearance of this kind of fighting spirit is also quite strict. Only monsters that are more than tens of thousands of years old have a very small chance of falling. The voice of the Golden Dragon King also said slowly. It's no wonder that this King Shenling has the ferocity of a demon beast on his body, so. Xiao Yang also murmured. Don't worry, you don't have to worry about fighting spirits. When you reach that level in the future, the fighting spirits you possess are definitely not comparable to these people. The Golden Dragon King said in a loving voice. The junior has thanked the senior, but it's just that the cultivation journey can't be too ambitious, so the junior is still thinking about 1 or 2. Xiao Yang also replied gently. The strong man of Solomon also frowned, obviously being rejected by this Xiao Yang. Hehe, Solomon is really generous. But my Wanhua Pavilion doesn't have such powerful benefits. If Xiao Yang's friends choose to join my Wanhua Pavilion, then I think Wanhua Pavilion will also give you 1,000 flowers baptism. The woman of Wanhua Pavilion also said slightly, but everyone knew what she meant. Didn't your Wanhua Pavilion always only accept female disciples? Chang Yu also frowned slightly. Hehe, let you Fenxiang Pavilion make an exception to accept female disciples, but our Wanhua Pavilion can't accept male disciples. The woman in Wanhua Pavilion also said relentlessly. When Chang Yu heard the words, he was at a loss for words and then did not speak. The grievances between the Fenxiang Pavilion and Wanhua Pavilion still need to be resolved by their respective sects. After all, it is the grievance of the older generation, and it has continued to their generation. Baptism of 10,000 flowers? My darling, This Wanhua baptism is quite precious in Wanhua Pavilion. It needs the owner of Wanhua Pavilion to personally take action and use a special method. The impurities in the body will also be completely eliminated, so the fighting qi in the body is extremely pure, and it will also help future cultivation. Mu Feng also said with a bit of envy. This 10,000 flowers baptism is also quite good. It can expel impurities from the body, and it can also concentrate on cultivation. The speed of cultivation can also be greatly accelerated, and the power in my body is too messy. It's really a good place. Xiao Yang also laughed. Obviously, if he really wanted to choose what Solomon and Wanhua Pavilion brought out, he would only choose Wanhua Pavilion. After all, Solomon's reputation is not very good. Although the fighting spirit is precious, it must also be enjoyed with life. Haha, Wanhua Pavilion is also willing to pay for it. As far as I know, this 1,000 flowers baptism will only be granted if you get a lot of achievements in Wanhua Pavilion. I can't imagine that in order to win over this Xiao Yang, you are willing to pay such a high price. Solomon's powerhouse is also Wei Wei said. Now this Medusa clan still dares to come to participate in the points looting competition, trying to join the Sect. Isn't this provoking the dignity of the Shenling king? How could the Shenling king, who is at the level of the 9-star Do Emperor, tolerate it? Green Flute was also weakened by this sudden momentum, and the fighting qi in her body was solidified. It's true that I belong to the line of Medusa, but who said that I can't join the human sect? May I ask who ordered this? Green Flute said stubbornly. Although Green Flute is also in the line of Medusa, she was adopted by humans since she was a child, so she can be regarded as a human, but her essence is still Medusa. I didn't mention the rule that snake people can't join the sect. But since it's here, then die. King Shenling said slowly, but in his voice, an unquestionable pressure spread instantly. At this time, Green Flute also realized that this Shenling king, who only existed in legends in the past, is undoubtedly stronger than the rumors. Immediately after King Shenling finished speaking, a wave of death instantly filled the heart of Green Flute. Immediately, many small snakes of different colors on Green Flute's body were also solemnly swallowing snake letters, and then looked at the sky like an enemy. There are some angry Shenling kings among them. Although Green Flute was adopted by humans, he has also been to the snake people and knows some things about the snake people. The relationship between the snake people and the Shenling royal family is like fire and water, and the fight between the two sides is unstoppable. It's no wonder that King Xuanling's simple Green Flute, the snake-human race, would be so emotional. After all, whoever saw the enemy who killed countless soldiers and horses under him would not be grateful. King Shenling finished his words, and a line of arrogant fighting spirit was also slashed at the Green Flute. This seemingly ordinary blow actually contains terrifying power. If this wave hits the Green Flute, then the Green Flute's fate will undoubtedly be very miserable. May fall on the spot. After all, this is the attack of a 9-star Do D-level powerhouse. Even if it is a mere blow, its strength is unmatched. Bang bang bang. Just when everyone thought that the Green Flute might fall on the spot, Chang Yu also came to its side in an instant, and his breath soared to the extreme, and then a fiery red Do Qi also covered the Green Flute, and then the seemingly terrifying terror of King Shenling also disappeared. It seems that Chang Yu took the blow from the Shenling king, but in fact only Chang Yu knows how terrifying power is contained in this seemingly random strike by the Shenling king, and the anti-shock force shook Chang Yu's body. Also slightly numb, the casual blow he just defended against the Shenling king turned out to be using nearly half of Chang Yu's vindictive energy. Humph. Chang Yu, what are you doing? This is a grudge between me and the snake people. Do you want to intervene? King Shenling also snorted coldly, and there was some displeasure in his voice. Hihi, no matter how this woman was in the past, now she has participated in the point looting competition and has the qualifications to join the sect, so since this woman decided to join our Fenxiang pavilion, I naturally want to protect her, so as not to spread the word. Others joke. Chang Yu also snorted coldly. Could it be that you don't know the grievances between my Shenling royal family and the snake people? Shenling king also shouted angrily. Obviously, this Chang Yu insisted on protecting the Green Flute, even he was powerless. After all, it was related to two forces. What if you know? You can check the details of this Green Flute. Although it's true that she is a snake-human race, she has lived with humans since she was a child, and she has never harmed humans. Could it be that this should be confused with the snake-human race? If that's the case, what's the difference between our Shentian super sect and the demons and ghosts? Chang Yu also knew that he was definitely not the opponent of the Shenling king if he fought, and he could only use it to convince people to rule the Shenling king. Ha ha ha, Don't you think that you are a mere 7-star duty peak who can yell at me? King Shenling also waved his arm, and then said casually, obviously he didn't take it seriously. Then you can try. Chang Yu said coldly, and there was some decisiveness in his voice. Obviously, if the Shenling king was aggressive, Chang Yu could only use the last resort. These newcomers who joined their own incense pavilion chilled their hearts. At this time, King Shenling was also frowning. From Chang Yu's decisive voice, King Shenling was not difficult to hear that Chang Yu was determined to protect the green flute today. Even if he insisted on doing it, the result would be the same. It is the same, and when the time comes, the two forces may face off, which is not what Shenling King wants to see. Although the relationship between the Shenling royal family and the Fenxiang pavilion has not been very good, if they want to devour the incense pavilion, it will hurt their bones. Besides, in addition to the Fenxiang pavilion, there are 8 super sects that are eyeing them, so the Shenling King, after a little contemplation, he was also ready to close his hands. You too, calm down. Today is about the selection of sects by new disciples. If you have any personal grievances, you should put them aside first. Seeing this, the powerhouse of Wanjianmen also found out that something was wrong, and immediately stood up and said. With the appearance of the Wanjianmen powerhouses, Shenling King and Chang Yu also snorted coldly, and then went straight back to where they were. Obviously, Wanjianmen, the leader of the 9 super sects, spoke and gave them to the stairs. They are also happy. Actually did it against me. Damn Chang Yu, I want you to look good in the future. King Shenling also said secretly. The strong Solomon beside him also slowly said something to King Xuanling's ear, and King Xuanling's expression changed a little. Thank you, senior. Green Flute also thanked Chang Yu very gratefully, and then bowed slightly to Chang Yu. It's okay, it's just as it should be. Let's go. After speaking, Chang Yu just wanted to take the green flute away, but found that the green flute was looking at a person above the ground. That man, with a heavy ruler on his back, exuded a rather good aura all over his body. How come you have the same aura as me? Green Flute also said slightly. Shin Mi still doesn't know about it, but what you need to know is that I'm definitely not the kind of person you think. Xiao Yang also said lightly. Since this green flute possesses the power of Medusa's bloodline, the fluctuations in his body just now have a reasonable explanation. Moreover, Xiao Yang vaguely felt that Kaylin seemed to be in Zhuansansan, because Xiao Yang found out that the soul jade, who had not been moving, actually moved after approaching Zhuansansan. The King Shenling on the side also moved his eyes slightly. Obviously, for the baptism of thousands of flowers in this Wanhua pavilion, even if it is stronger than him, he is quite moved after all. The fighting spirit in the body is under the long-term cultivation, it will also be mixed with some other impurities. This Wanhua pavilion's Wanhua baptism can remove impurities, thereby making one's own fighting chi more pure, and its benefits are self-evident. Junior thanks senior. Xiao Yang also said respectfully. After all, Xiao Yang didn't want to go to a place full of women. Haha, Wanhua Pavilion and Solomon are really generous. But I don't have such means in Purgatory Hall. If you join our Purgatory Hall, I can give you a role of immortal rank fighting skills. Although the powerhouse in Purgatory Hall said it lightly, he paid attention to Xiao Yang in his words. The degree is not weak at all. With the eyes of a powerhouse in Purgatory Hall, it is natural to find the aura between Xiao Yang's brows. That murderous intent is definitely not owned by flowers in the greenhouse. It must be cultivated only by having a real life and death fight. If this Xiao Yang joins my Purgatory Hall, we have the confidence to train him to become the next successor. The powerhouse of Purgatory Hall also said secretly. When Xiao Yang heard this, his pupils also shrank tightly. Immortal-level fighting skills, even among the various sects in Shentian-san, where the powers are like clouds, are equivalent to pressing the bottom of the box. The Purgatory Hall is willing to take out such a huge thing, which also shows that Xiao Yang is in a strong position. As the voice of the powerhouse in Purgatory Hall did not fall, the powerhouses of the other sects around him also frowned. Obviously, even in their respective sects, this immortal-level fighting skill is quite important. This Purgatory Hall can be regarded as a good one. It takes the world's major affairs as its own responsibility, and it is also a rare cultivation holy place. Xiao Yang also said in a low voice. Hey, although this Purgatory Hall can't be added to it, it can still manage a good relationship with it. After all, they are specialized in dealing with the evil things in the demon world and the ghost world. At that time, they will inevitably have to peep at one or two special methods. Jinlong Wang's voice also echoed in Xiao Yang's mind. Purgatory Hall is really a big piece of work. The value of immortal-level fighting skills is quite high. Solomon's strong man also snorted coldly. It's just mere fighting skills. If you can accept this disciple, it would be a good idea to be the successor of the Hall Master. The powerhouse of Purgatory Hall also said slowly. After speaking, he also looked at Xiao Yang with anticipation and looked forward to Xiao Yang's actions. There is no doubt that as long as Xiao Yang showed any little bit of heartbeat, these old foxes above the sky would definitely increase their bargaining chips. Junior still thanked Senior. Xiao Yang also shook his head. Obviously, the bargaining chip of this Purgatory Hall is precious, but Xiao Yang and the Ghost World and the Devil World do not have any deep hatred, so the chance to join this sect is much smaller. When the few people beside Xiao Yang heard the words, their brows moved slightly. This Purgatory Hall's handwriting is really incredible. In order to win Xiao Yang, he did not hesitate to use the position of the Hall Master. The Hall Master of the Purgatory Hall is in charge of the entire Purgatory Hall, and his strength is even stronger than that of the Shenling King. The words that Ren's Purgatory Hall used to attract Xiao Yang with such an expensive bargaining chip showed that Xiao Yang's potential was quite good. Hey, you are really... The powerhouse in Purgatory Hall seemed to have already known the result, and said without any surprise. Looking at the faint soul fluctuations on Xiao Yang's body, as expected, this kid is still an alchemist. What a terrifying talent. The powerhouse of the Puppet Mansion also said slowly. A person's strength is of course important, but more importantly, under the premise of strong strength, he is still an alchemist. His rank is certainly not low, and such talent is quite astonishing. Since that's the case, then my Puppet Mansion is not taken by the strong man. After the strong man in the Puppet Mansion finished speaking, he also glanced at the strong man in the Pill Valley not far away. Pill Valley, Shenling royal family and Wanjianmen, but the three giants of these sects, few people would offend them, so the powerhouse of the Puppet Mansion also planned to sell this Pill Valley a favor. Haha, then thank you for the Puppet Mansion. If there is any need for medicinal herbs in the future, just say so. An old man from Pill Valley also said with a smile. When the Puppet Manor heard the words, he also smiled with joy. With the words of Pill Valley's favor, it will be much more convenient in the future. Hey, the pharmacist is really loved by everyone. Xiao Yang also found the scene in the sky, and couldn't help but laugh. If you enter my ancient desolate hall, 8 Duanjia will also give you practice. The strong man in the ancient desolate hall also said slowly. 8 Duanjia. This is a method of body refining that even my master, the Golden Dragon King, praises. If there is a chance in the future, let's get in touch. Xiao Yang also laughed. Don't worry, the power of the 8 Duanjia is certainly powerful, but it can't compare to our Dragon Clan's body refining method. In terms of body refining, our Dragon Clan is enough to rival any sect. The Golden Dragon King's confident voice also said. Don't worry, after you successfully join the sect, it will be taught to you. The voice of the Golden Dragon King also struck Xiao Yang's body as a reassurance. The Dragon Clan's body refining technique has long been heard, and I don't know how powerful it is. Xiao Yang murmured. Seeing Xiao Yang on the ground falling into contemplation, the powerhouse in the ancient desolate palace also knew that there was no chance, so he shook his head and stepped back. I'll give up the Heartless Palace. The people in the Heartless Palace shook their heads. Obviously, although this Xiao Yang was the #1 newcomer, he also violated their rules. The people from Wanjianmen also shook their heads. This Xiao Yang did not feel any sword intent, so he gave up. After all, at this time, Xiao Yang, with a heavy ruler on his back, already explained a lot of problems, and it was quite unrealistic to switch to sword intent at this time. I believe in your choice. Chang Yu said softly without throwing any chips. Damn it, this burning incense pavilion won't really be like this. Xiao Yang frowned and was quite depressed. At this point, there are also Dan Jiyu and the Shenling royal family who have not put any chips on Xiao Yang. Haha, I don't know whether it was King Shenling or... The old Dan Jiyu also smiled slowly. Then let me go first. King Shenling also smiled slightly. Although some unpleasant things happened just now, he still had to maintain the temperament that the royal family should have. Xiao Yang is that. If you join me, the Shenling royal family, the imperial pond in the Shenling royal family will let you soak in, and the resources will also be tilted towards you. Within 70 years, it will be enough for you to set foot in the Battle of Immortals. King Shenling slowly opening. This. Following King Xuanling's words, many of the surrounding powerhouses of the 9 super sects also frowned slightly, obviously shocked by the bargaining power of King Shenling. breaking through to the immortal fighting power within 70 years. This may seem like a fantasy, but it is not. The Shenling royal family is the most powerful existence on the Shenling continent. Since the Shenling king dares to speak out, it is definitely not aimless, and there must be some basis. It's really a big hand. The Golden Dragon King also spoke slowly. It seems that the Shenling royal family has decided on me. Xiao Yan also smiled slightly. Although the Shenling royal family offered terrifying conditions, Xiao Yang didn't feel the slightest heartbeat, because he didn't know. What's the matter? Xiao Yang felt a different kind of breath from this Shenling king. Xiao Yang couldn't tell the specifics, but it was not a good thing. How do you think about it? King Shenling also had the chance to win. Terrorism still has to thank Emperor Shenling for his kindness. The boy is used to being idle and wild, and is not used to living in the royal family, so he still can't join the Shenling royal family, sorry. Xiao Yang also said a little apologetically. Don't you know what's good or bad? King Xuanling's smile just now became a stalemate, and then he said angrily. Hehe, why are you bullying a newcomer like this? The old Dangu man on the side also spoke slowly, looking at Xiao Yang with admiration. As for my Dangu, if I give conditions. If you enter my Pill Valley, in addition to the 70 years that King Shenling said will help you break through to the immortal battle, you will also be able to break through the immortal rank alchemist within 20 years. The old Dan Valley also spoke slowly. This old guy. Chang Yu also shook his head. Obviously under such attractive conditions, Xiao Yang would be really a fool if he didn't join. As soon as the words of the old Dangu fell, Mu Yingying, Yueru, and Mu Feng around Xiao Yang were all surprised. With such terrifying conditions, anyone else would be terrified. Xiao Yang, what will your choice be? The two daughters Yueru and Mu Yingying also looked at Xiao Yang with their hearts raised. This video will end here.